Everyone. We're here on YouTube, and actually, let me shift my camera a little bit. We're here on YouTube, second live stream. Actually, technically, it's the third live stream I've ever done, but the first one really didn't count because it was kind of a test just to see how this thing works. But we're here live now, and happy to be with you today. It's been a live streaming week, typical for me. I've got two different live streams I typically do. I was going to go live stream on another thing on a page that I'm contributing to up until a conference, but couldn't get on there right now. So I am coming on here because I figured it might be a prime opportunity to talk about stories. I'm not talking about the stories you get from the library or even audiobooks or the stories we tell one another, not necessarily, mouth to ear and all that stuff. I'm talking about stories in social media. If you've been living under a rock, or perhaps you don't know much about social media, and that's totally cool. Anyone who visits my YouTube channel knows that it's somewhere you can learn about social media, which leads to today's topic. So today's topic is essentially stories everywhere. And I did share this on Twitter, so hopefully we'll get a couple people respondents in here too, because it's pretty much the topic of the week. Anytime a major update goes out, or a major kerfuffle, if you will, technical term, regarding social media, and people want to kind of find out about it and know what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me share this on my my Facebook as well, because I definitely want to try to get some people who have opinions. There are many opinions flying about stories. If you're new to the whole concept of stories, so and again, that's why I kind of talked about this isn't about books or audiobooks or whispering stories to each other. Stories as they relate to social media really started, at least largely and publicly, started on Snapchat. So Snapchat, if you're not aware, is a messaging platform or messaging app. It's been around for over a few years now. Really came to the forefront last year when Gary Vaynerchuk and a few other people who are a little bit bigger names started using it prolifically, telling everybody else about them. And Snapchat is essentially, it's a mobile app only. They do have a .com, snapchat.com. You can go there. And hello, I see Jeff is joining us. See Monkey Knife Fight. Nice to see you. Thank you for watching my live stream, by the way. I really appreciate it. I'm intent on using this a bit more, particularly after hearing Owen video on an interview yesterday, on our interview. So anywho, I will continue the rundown. But yes, please keep commenting and share if you like, because that would be cool too. But Jeff has thoughts too, because I know he did his own video about the stories and all these things going on. So like I said, it's a hot topic. So essentially in Snapchat, you have the option. It's a camera app, but it's also a messaging app, but highly utilizing a camera. Okay. So when you go into Snapchat, you can either capture a still of yourself or anything with your camera, or you can record up to a 10-second video. And within the app, it gives you all kinds of options to add text, captions. You can doodle on it. So there are actually doodle artists out there who work in Snapchat. Filters. There are geo filters where if I'm in Englewood, I can scroll and it'll attach a little Englewood, Colorado filter to the bottom of any of my snaps. And that's a snap. When you do a snap, it's basically that still shot or a video. Okay. You can do anything you want to create that thing, but then you add it to your day's story. So your story, and this technically is correct in how the definition goes across the platforms who have stories. A story is a 24-hour spread of anything you add that is one of those bits, like a photo or a video or whatever you're adding to your story. It's basically just a segment of your 24-hour day. And it's a rolling 24 hours, okay? So if I go to Snapchat at 10 a.m. and I go look up a friend's Snap story, I'm going to see every snap that they uploaded or added to their story in the last 24 hours prior to 10 a.m. 5 p.m., I'm going to see less of those snaps that they uploaded because those have expired now. So each particular segment or chapter of a story expires once it hits 24 hours. So it's a rolling story. Got it? It's as long as someone's adding to their story, it's always there and will always have segments to it. They just kind of just keep rolling forward 24 hours back. That's as far back as you can see them. You can also do private snaps as well. Let's leave that to the side for a moment. So Snapchat started stories. I mean, it made stories big. Hey, Beauty Bubble darling. Hello. Thank you for watching too. I appreciate it, guys. I love anyone who will watch me on live stream. Really, I do. You guys make it feel special, and so I appreciate it. And again, please pontificate in the comments with your thoughts about stories. They suck. Snapchat's awesome. Facebook's awesome. Whatever. So stories really came to the forefront with Snapchat. I mean, the textbook term for stories in social media was through Snapchat. Well, Facebook, if you guys aren't aware, Facebook actually offered to buy Snapchat a while back. And they offered a certain, I think, somebody knows the term. It was like a million-ish dollar, like I want to say $2-figure $1 million package or whatever like that. It was decent. Snapchat declined and decided, nope, we don't want to sell. We want to keep going, which was pretty smart on their part because it became a rather big deal. Everybody started using it. Like I said, last year, all people would talk about was Snapchat stories, Snapchat everything. Well, Facebook, which owns Instagram, got pretty ticked. And when I say Facebook, I mean Mark Zuckerberg. And so they did not take kindly to not being able to acquire Snapchat. So realizing and then seeing that Snapchat was growing in influence and growing in users and growing, getting more popular. It was actually Snapchat video views was equaling, if not exceeding, Facebook views. Whoa. And this is after, guys, this is after Facebook Live came out, okay? Snapchat was still dominating or really staying up there. It was even sometimes coming over Facebook. Seems like a ton of usage. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly Jeff. So Facebook got ticked. And so in Instagram, not in Facebook, but in the Instagram app, which is another mobile heavy app, you can access Instagram through Instagram.com, but you can't post to Instagram that way. You have to do it through a mobile app, unless there are different hacks and stuff like that. But you have to do it through a mobile app. They added stories to their app of Instagram, and they called it Stories, which was, again, a big deal. Everybody's like, what? You can't call it Stories? What a copycat. Yes, it was. It didn't actually take over the whole app. It's an added feature to the Instagram app. Essentially what it was people could not only post photos and videos to Instagram and let people comment and do captions and tag locations and all that stuff that already lives in Instagram in the feed. Above the feed, they added the Stories feature, which was, again, a rolling 24-hour day expiring set of segments you could capture in a still or record a video. This time, their video was 15 seconds long instead of 10. Also add some different creative components to it and whatnot, and people began to use Instagram Stories. And a lot of people do use that. It was a bit of a deal because Snapchat, while it has a variety of demographics on it, it is primarily used by millennials and teens and even tweens, for any of you who have given your tween a smartphone. So it's primarily used by those younger demographics. Instagram, however, is far more widespread and includes older demographics, people who already know this platform and had been on it for years. So yes, exactly. I agree, Jeff, with you. I knew it was coming. It just seemed kind of like, oh, okay, right? Not a whole lot of woo. Although that was my first face in my first Facebook story. I was like, woo. I think that was almost verbatim. So essentially, that's what happened was Instagram Stories copied Snapchat Stories. And again, same features in the stories, but then you have the rest of the Instagram app that was also there. Okay, so it really just added Snapchat and dropped it into Instagram. All right, but again, different audiences, different users and things like that. Well, here we are now. So this last week, Facebook, it wasn't quite enough that they created Instagram Stories as a clone of Snapchat. Then they added Facebook Stories to the news feed. So again, you've got the entire Facebook app, mobile app. It's a new, you see your feed going through. You can get to groups, you can get to events, you can get to all the things you would normally get to on Facebook. But now at the top of your feed, just like in Instagram, you see this row of circles and all your friends' heads are in them. And if they've been adding to their story for the last 24 hours, you get to see their Facebook story. Let's not forget too, between Instagram Stories copycat and Facebook Stories copycat, Facebook Messenger released Messenger Day, which was again a copy of Snapchat Stories, because in Messenger you have a rolling 24-hour little circles up there where people can add stills, still captures or videos of their day. None of us know what the heck to call these things either, by the way, because in Snapchat, they're snaps. Whether you do a still or a video and add that to your story, that's a snap. None of us really know what to call the other things that are in Instagram and Facebook. We're just like bits, pieces, segments, meh, not sure. I think one of my friends, Ann Wynn, calls it face snaps. But again, crossing over to Snapchat. So here we are today. So, and those are just the big ones I've talked about. WhatsApp actually also did a replication, again owned by Facebook, replication of Snapchat, which they have some things in there too that look very much like Snap Stories. So here we are in what I have called the Clone Wars. Yeah, Lucas, I see you. Is that you've got Facebook who just went all in to copy everything. Now, here's the deal. And it's really kind of odd because one of the biggest questions I saw from people after Facebook Stories, this latest release, the one that shows up in the Facebook app, not Messenger, Facebook app, okay, the top of your feed in their stories. So many people were asking, okay, so I've got Messenger Day, which is in the Facebook Messenger app, and I've got Facebook Stories, which is in the Facebook app. Am I supposed to share the same stuff back and forth between the two? And people are, by the way. And people are busy and they're trying to hit all of these platforms and they don't want to have to recreate everything. And that happened, guys, once Instagram Stories came on the scene as the first primary clone. People were doing their Snap Stories, downloading those and uploading them right into their Instagram story. So it was happening. Well, now you've got people who have not one, not one, not two, not three, but 4 Snapchat clones, 4 story apps that they probably feel like they have to upload content to or add content to. And they are going to totally replicate that. I'm trying not to, but again, I get it. I get it when people do. I just want to mention too a couple comments. So Jeff is saying it seemed like a ton of usage of Facebook Stories the first couple of days. Then it dropped off and now just a bunch of lurkers. I will say the first day, I think I saw 69 views at most actually no, it was 70 something views on my very first story segment, which was just my face going, oh, kind of like, oh my gosh, look at this. And then it dropped down. Now I've got at most in the 30s, which no big deal, whatever. It's new and I'm still figuring out how I want to use it and stuff. Snapchat, again, I have a couple things at play. I don't prolifically use Snapchat. I really use private snapping, which is the private messaging part of Snapchat. But for my stories, I typically get anywhere between 20 and 30 views on my story per day. Okay. But I also just switched my account to a handle that matches the rest of my handles. So I had a migration go on there. So I'm kind of starting from scratch again, just with people I already know on Snapchat. So, and then Instagram Stories I've used maybe once, and that was months ago, right after it happened, and I haven't used it since. So consider that there are going to be different usages, different people in there. I tend to try to use all the apps because I want to know how they work so I could tell you guys through my YouTube video tutorials or even talking about it. Okay, here are the differences. So yeah, the biggest thing I'm seeing is that people feeling like they need to be on all 4, even though a lot of people, again, are asking, well, is it that big a different audience between Facebook and Messenger? Yeah, it can be. I know I use Messenger as probably my most heavily used messaging app, mostly because, too, it's integrated with my phone texts. On Android, you can do that. I don't know if you can do that on iOS. So if anyone who has an iOS in the comments can let me know, that'd be great. But essentially that is that I use Facebook Messenger every day. My husband and I actually text back and forth on it, so I'm obviously on it. Messenger is different from Facebook in that it really is solely a messaging app with a slew of features. I've had we've sent money back and forth in Messenger. I didn't know if you could do that. You call an Uber. You can actually set up reminders. So if you're talking with somebody saying, well, we should maybe chat or Skype on Saturday at 10 a.m., Messenger will say, do you want to set a reminder? And it'll actually remind you. It's kind of cool. You can send GIFs back and forth through Messenger. Do video calls. You can do group chats, and now they've added you can react to different parts of that. So it's almost like a Slack feed in there now too. I swear the updates are rolling fast and furious here. No new thing for social media, But it definitely, it's having us all really have to feel like we're keeping up a little more than normal, I would say. The pace feels a little heavier. So you may be asking, okay, well, Rachel, which stories are you going to use? That is an excellent question. And nobody did ask it. I'm asking it just theoretically. I, again, as someone who tries to train social media and know the landscape, I am going to try to be in all the platforms. And I know I just said I don't really do Instagram stories. I go dabble in it once in a while and just do one. So I know, okay, did something change from last time? An update go on and features change and stuff like that. So my intent is to be on them and know how they work. I will tell you right now, likelihood is I'm going to focus on Snapchat stories and Facebook stories. And that is because I do want to know Snapchat. And also I do a segment on there every weekday called Car Talk, which is my poorly done Boston accent of me thinking about something in the car and talking to you guys about it. It is what it is. I think it's funny. Some people really like it. Ross Brand really digs it. So that's what I do in Snapchat. I do a few other snaps and stuff based on what I'm feeling. But then my other primarily used application is Facebook. And so I'm likely to use Facebook stories. Now, I have a lot of marketing friends who are my Facebook friends, and it is just your friends that see Facebook stories, by the way. It's not public in any way. It doesn't matter if you have a public profile, if you set your post to public, your regular post in your newsfeed. That doesn't affect your stories. Only your friends see your stories. So it really does it's based on who are your friends on Facebook. And what kind of content then do you want to share? Are you being a thought leader for other marketers? Are you trying to find leads for your business? And if you are they on Facebook? Would they be more inclined to be on Instagram? That could very well be. Facebook's honestly not as popular with everyone. I mean, it's more the most used public or social media platform. But as far as everybody signing in for a profile, but a lot of people hang out on Instagram, and particularly businesses and stuff like that. And if you're talking how happy the millennials and teens and tweens are that Facebook stories came out, they are so thrilled. They're like, good, leave Snapchat to us. We want you guys to go away. Well, we're not, but I understand what they're saying. So and honestly, it's too early to say anything. For one thing, I've seen a lot of people complain about how glitchy Facebook has been since the update rolled out. And really is. People are trying to figure out what to share. People are repurposing content like gangbusters, seeing the same. That's kind of a bummer too. Again, I have to be. I'm in all the other platforms and stuff too. I'm seeing the same videos and stills with across platforms, and you can almost tell too stylistically. Okay, well I can see what filters and text you added there. I can tell you did that in Facebook Stories, but here it is on Snapchat. So I don't really hold with that process, but I get it. I don't necessarily judge people for trying to make the most out of content as best they can. Repurposing content is a best practice. The whole point is, can you get some authentic engagement out of it and not feel like you're kind of snowing your audience? So I forgive that. I don't know if whoever's watching, which all three of you, and thank you for watching, by the way, appreciate it. I do. Any questions or insights you guys want me to, like, Rachel, do you get pissed about this? Or what do you think about this? Or so-and-so said this. I do see a lot of people making some stances on this already, which that makes sense. That's what we marketers do. We try to come out and just say what we think is going to happen or what we think this means. I've seen people say, some people, and people I respect for sure, say this is the end of Snapchat. I don't know that that's true. I've seen people for years say, this is the end of Twitter. Pretty sure Twitter's still around. I don't see Snapchat going anywhere. By the way, let's not forget that Snapchat went public with its IPO, and then about a week later, Facebook Stories came out. This was an entirely planned attack to say, oh, you're going to go public? We're going to roll out a total duplicate of you. It really is like Facebook picked up Snapchat and dropped it in the platform of Facebook, which brings up another point. These are different apps, guys. They are different apps. Snapchat is solely for Snapchat stories and messages, and that's it. It doesn't have events in there. It doesn't have groups. I mean, they have actually, I lied. They do have groups in there where you can do group private snaps, but that's private messaging. That's messaging. They don't have, trying to think of other things. They don't have like a Snapchat page versus Snapchat profile versus Snapchat group versus Snapchat event. They don't have that. Snapchat is primarily a messaging camera app, okay? But then juxtapose that against Facebook. Facebook is this behemoth. We want to rule every component of your life. You can post jobs. You can do a page for your business. You can live stream. You can sell stuff in the marketplace. You can get to Messenger from Facebook and private message people. You can comment on people's stuff and post things. What else can you do? Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So there's groups, events, ads. Oh my God. Which is really, again, just a way for them to get ads going. Facebook is so much of a bigger world than Snapchat is. So again, to that point, I don't think it's any guarantee yet that Snapchat's going to go poof because they're so different. Facebook and Snapchat are so very different. And so I do think Snapchat has pressure on it, as it has for like the last year at least, to really stay technologically savvy, to improve on the app, to add features to a degree, but staying unique enough to where they're like, whatever, we're probably going to get copied anyway, but let's come up with something really cool. We're the first ones to do it. And the teens and tweens and millennials will be the first ones then to digest it and be like, we're awesome because we're over here on Snapchat. There is some value in being first, right? So anyway, that said, I would love to know if you guys plan to be on all four. If you've already been on, say, Instagram stories, you're like, nope, that's my bag. I'm staying with that. I don't really care about these other stories. I know that's the one that works for me. I get best engagement and people know where to find me on there. If you are trying Facebook stories and really liking it or not, or saying, oh my gosh, the engagement here is better. Chris Drubb had said that too. He's like, well, I got so many people on Facebook stories within the first 24 hours. But key to what Jeff said, that was the first 24 hours. The novelty is already, whatever. So let's see what happens, right? It'll be cool. It's always fun to watch competition in technology and people competing and stuff. So if you guys have any questions about stories, I believe I have a tutorial video on this channel for the 3 primary stories, which are, I believe I definitely have Snapchat, I've got Instagram stories, and I've got Facebook stories. I may need to do a Messenger Day tutorial. I haven't done that. It's not going to be that different from Facebook stories tutorial, I'm going to tell you, but it's different enough because it's just not the same app. So I'll do that. I'll work on that for you guys. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future live streams, I will do that. And just feeling this out and seeing how it works. Thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. And hey, I'm going in on this YouTube thing because it makes sense to me. Owen Video gave a very compelling argument for it yesterday on Let's Live Stream. So I hope to be around here more regularly and using the power of this video platform. It's not all about Facebook. It just happens to be lurking a lot in the corner. All right. Well, have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you soon. And can't wait to see your stories and those stories and maybe some more stories. Bye.